Hello and welcome to a review of Into the Breach by Subset Games. And Into the Breach is a turn-based strategy game with mechs fighting big monsters. It's basically Pacific Rim, the strategy game, in a lot of ways. Subset Games previously made FTL, and it's such an awesome game. And that same quality and music and everything is definitely rubbed off into the next game by them. And let me show you a game around a bit. It's pretty fantastic. I've been just binging it today like mad, so it's time to do a review. So as you start the game, you are in the main menu, of course, and you create a profile, and that's basically your save file, and you unlock new mechs and all kinds of things based on the achievements you do. And you start with a basic team, which is the Riftwalkers here, which I've successfully completed all the achievements with. So similarly as in FTL, if you've played FTL, you have the easy, normal, harder difficulty. And the game definitely doesn't hold your hand. It has actually pretty fantastic and pretty nice tutorial, which does explain all the mechanics very well to you, which is actually nice to have in a game like this. But the game is definitely very challenging. So the story of the game is basically that Earth has been kind of wrecked, more or less, by these aliens called the Wek, and they're basically big insects, more or less, with different kinds of abilities, and you run a small team of 3 pilots or 3 mechs to fight against them and save regions, and then finally ending the menace in this timeline. So there is this whole like a time travel mechanic as well, or part of the game, where basically each run is a different timeline. So if you complete a run, you've saved that timeline. If you fail a run, well, that timeline is messed up and you bail out. So if you save someone from a previous run, so if you do a successful run, you can save one of your guys for your future run, so he has already leveled up and everything. And if you fail a run and have someone still alive, one of your pilots, you can save him as well for the future runs. So the basic team you have is the Riftwalkers, which has a combat mech with basically a punch. You have a cannon mech with Taurus cannons, and you have an artillery mech with basically artillery shot. And we'll go with this basic team, so you see basic mechanics of the game. Each team also has unique achievements tied to them. So for example, this one has to drown 3 enemies in a single battle, then there's ramming speed, and an island secure. And once you do runs in this game, you unlock these coins, which can be you gain them from the achievements, and they can be used to buy new squads. So in total, there is 8 squads of different mechs in this game, with their own specific achievements, and then doing the runs, also like achievements for those. You can also do a custom squad, where you can pick mechs from different squads. So there's a lot of customizations once you unlock a lot of the mechs, and you can mix and match them as you want. But there's also a option for random squads. So if you don't want to pick yourself, and you just go purely random or balanced roll, so it gives you basically one of each types, or you can just go fully chaotic with all kinds of really strange squads with this. And that gives a lot of like replayability, and part of the replayability in the game is trying out like different teams, all these 8 different teams, and doing all the achievements for them, and then mixing and matching your own with that. Also, there is different achievements for custom squads as well, and then random squads as well. So there's a lot of replayability to that. But let's get a basic run going, and I'll show you how this works. We'll go with the same normal everything, and let's just drop in. So as you first start to play the game, you start out from the Archive Inc. island here. But once you play through them, you can choose whichever order you want to start with. And there's 4 different islands, and you have to do a minimum of 2 of them and a maximum of 4. So you can choose to go to the final mission after you've completed 2 islands, but you can also keep going and unlock all of them, or complete all of them, and then do the final mission. And the final mission scales depending on if you do them or not. It's basically supposed to be same difficulty depending if you go with 2 islands or if you go for 4 islands, but of course it depends like your luck on your loot, how well you complete the missions, and all of that. Let's see, we have a power available here, so we can put one more movement point. So let's actually look at this window here. So this is the mech customization window. So you have all your 3 mechs here, your pilots, and all of this. You can change the pilots. You also can find new pilots during a gameplay. You find new weapons. You can mix and match weapons. They're usually tied to a single type of mech. For example, this is Prime class, and then you have a Brute class, and then you have a Range class, and there's also a Science class. So there are basically 4 classes, and then there is weapons that go for any one of these. But you can also just rip off this from your artillery, and you can mix and match it into a wrong one. But it says it's a Range class weapon, and it's a wrong class, so it costs additional power to use. And power works very similarly as it works in FTL, if you played FTL. So you have your reactor here, so we have 2 power at the moment, and you can mix and match these. So I have 1 movement and 1 on the fist here. I can remove it and I can move them around as I feel before the mission. And also your XP heroes get levels, and they get bonus, like this guy gives +1 to reactor and +2 HP. And there's a variety of different bonuses you can get. There's also pilots you can unlock through finding them through your gameplay that do different special abilities. Like his special ability is Experienced, which gains him extra experience per kill, which is kind of decent. But there are some really powerful, really game-changing and different abilities on some of the heroes as well, which can help a lot. Also up here is our corporate reputation, which allows us, once you complete an island, you can buy different upgrades. You can buy more reactor cores, which are the power upgrades for your mechs. You can also buy weapons, you can buy all kinds of things. You can also improve your power grid, and power grid is basically your life. So if power grid goes to 0, you lose the run. So this is basically your lifeline. And there's ways to you can buy more power. You can do certain maps to increase your power grid as a reward, etc. Grid also has a defense, so if a building takes damage, you lose power. Grid defense is basically a chance to absorb basically the damage, so it doesn't get broken and you lose a power grid. And you can increase the power grid defense as well. One big way is to, when your power grid is full and you get more power grid, it actually goes into grid defense. But there's also like heroes can have a ability that increases your power grid defense. It's kind of last chance opportunity of defending your buildings, so you shouldn't be really relying on it. But it's nice to have a nice high crit defense. There was this one mission I did where I had an 18% crit chance on defense, and I managed to roll on it because there was no way for me to defend that important building, and it's such a good feel when it actually worked. But let's just jump into Archive Inc. here. So each island has their own theme and all terrains and everything, and there are special things on some of the maps that happen only on the certain type of like on the winter island, you get like ice and snow and all kinds of stuff. In this one, you have, for example, a map where there's a tide coming in. There's like this desert map where there's like a terraforming happening. You get storms and all kinds of fun events, depending on which map you play. So here's the region map, and you start always from the corporate HQ. So there's no Vexa, the aliens detected, and you can go to the connecting maps from there. And if you unlock, if you complete this one, it unlocks the adjacent ones. So you can see like rewards here. So these are the reputation points for this corporation. So you can see you get them as rewards if you complete this one, and then there's a grid power also as a reward. So you can kind of eyeball which way you want to go. You can also get reactor cores as rewards from these. Usually the first island you do doesn't have those, and they get better as you go further along. Each map is also different, so you can look at the map before you decide which one you want to go for. So this one has Vex detected. We need to defend artillery support and protect the coal plant. You also see the map layout, like what's gonna be on the map. So there is some mountains and all that on this one, and then there is a different map with defensive shields active. So these cities here that you need to defend have some bubbles on them, which will protect from 1 damage, and you also need to protect the batteries. There's a bit of water in there, so you can kick enemies into there. Let's go for this one. Although this one would probably be better, like normally, because it has better rewards, basically. Also, when you do these islands, you cannot complete all of them, or like every location. You can do about 4-ish of them, and then the rest of them gets basically run over, and then you need to defend the corporate HQ, which completes the island once you complete that, and then you go for the next island. We'll start with the repository here, and just click the map, and you can also still change your loadout. So you can look at this map has a lot of water, we might want to use these things. There's this kinds of stuff in this map, so maybe a different loadout. If you have a lot of like different weapons and different things you gotta switch around, you can always prepare for that specific mission. So we'll go for this one. So this is basically how this game looks. It's 8x8 tiles. It's almost like a chessboard, and the game actually feels almost like a logic puzzles more than like strategy game. It's almost like a chess with monsters and mechs fighting each other. It's really, really neat. So we're deploying our mechs currently. So we have our melee mech, and this is the deployment area. There is abilities that change this. For example, there's a for example a hero that allows you to place your mech that he's piloting anywhere on the map, which is really cool. We see our attack order here. We see victory in 5 turns. So each map, your condition is to basically do the bonus objectives, which gives you the rewards, but the main goal of every map is surviving until the end of the turns. You don't need to kill all the enemies, they run away at the end of the turns. So just staying alive is the key point, basically. And there's different teams, like this team we are playing at the moment is very damage oriented, so you want to kill basically as much as possible. But there's teams like this like a ice team that can freeze enemies into place until they get damaged. So you can basically take out the whole team of opposing a Vex without actually killing them, which is a really interesting gameplay. And there's a lot of like a positional play in this, which is kind of hard to say, hard to explain until you actually see it in action. But basically everything in this game has basically some kind of reaction to your action. So you can punch enemies, move them around, you can knock them into each other, or you can knock them into water and kill them, and there's forests burn and all kinds of really like interactions. It's very tight, like there's such a depth into the interactions with everything. Well, let's see. So you can see your heroes, and you can use look at your abilities. You can also repair your mechs every turn if you want for 1 point, and remove basically harmful status effects. We can move 4, and we are massive, so we can go in the water, but can't actually shoot in the water. So we'll just plop down our mech there, our tank there, and our artillery in the back, and we'll confirm that. So here we come, and mission starts. So once you start mission, enemies always get their action, and it's basically what they're going to do next turn, and you can react to that and prevent their action. And that's like the whole gameplay is reacting and preventing enemy actions. So you can see our units here. So we have action for everyone, we have health and everything. And you can see like the enemy action, like we can mouse over on him, And we can see that he can move on this area, and he's planning to attack this building here, which would take 0 damage. As you can see, the 0 because of the bubble in there. Then there's another enemy here who has webbed our mech here, so we can see actually info here. We are webbed, so we can't move until we kill or move with this or do something about that web. And you can also see that he's gonna do 3 damage on me, and then there's another one attacking the bubble. There's also these holes here, which are emerging Vex spawning, so there's an enemy popping out from the ground next turn. You can stand on this, or you can push an enemy on it, and it will prevent the spawn, but it will do 1 damage on your troops or whoever happens to be standing there. It's a really good tactic to basically limit enemies, as you only have like 4 turns in most missions, 4 or 5 turns in every mission. So preventing them from spawning, even for a turn, is very, very beneficial. You can also click on the enemies and see their status here. So this one is Scarab, and they do a Spitting Clans artillery attack, and you can also see like they're in the forest. That will light on fire when damaged, posing great risk to this unit. So looking at this info is very important when you see like a new one, and it's like, what is this alien? What does this do? And checking out all that. So we need to protect the batteries, which are here. And then these buildings, you can see that there's 2 electric icons there, and there's 1 in here. So these are our power grid, basically. So if these get damaged, for example, if this one shot this building instead of the bubble, because the bubble will protect it for 1 attack, well, however much damage he does. But if he attacked like this one, he would do 1 damage on this, and he would lose 1 power grid. Some of the enemies, like this Leaper here, does 3 damage, so he would destroy both of these in 1 go, and you would lose 2 power grid. So you can really quickly, like you can see that this is 2 and this is 2 and this is 1. So if you fail to protect these, you can lose the game really quickly. Unless you're lucky with crit defense, but never rely on that. So let's see, what can we do to not get this? So we could punch him. He's only found 1 HP, so we have a Titan Fist here. He's also webbed us, so it might not be a bad idea at all to just punch him back there, and then he dies. So the forest caught fire because we did damage, and he was standing here, and then he got pushed in here. So if he had survived this attack, he would now be preventing that damage from here. So your basic combat mech is very just punch in the face, push troops. Also, if there had been an enemy here, it would have collided into that, and both of them would have gained 1 damage. So pushing and pulling and all kinds of movement of enemies is very important, and part of the how you deal with the enemies. Colliding multiple enemies into each other is so satisfying when they just all die and get caught fire and get acid and frozen and all kinds of things. So next thing we have is our tank here, so our cannon mech with the Taurus cannon, which does 1 damage and pushes the enemy. So he's shooting currently in this arc into here. So if I shoot him, which is not going to kill him, that's going to push him back 1. But since he's firing in this arc, he will be here and shoot into this forest tile instead. So you prevent the damage into your building, which actually doesn't really need it right now. But the other option here we have is also just moving here and shooting and pushing him into the fire. And fire will happen first thing in the turn. You can actually look at the attack order here, or you can press Alt to see the same information. And it shows that the fire damage is the first one to happen in the turn. So he's gonna burn to death as his turn is number 3. He's number 2. You can also push enemies in front of their attacks so that they hit each other, basically. Both of these have this arcing attack, which will go over everything pretty much. But if they had like the direct line of attack, or like a charge attack, or just a swing, it's really fun to combo and kick them. First you kick them in the head, they collide into each other, and then their friend kills them, and it's like, it's super fun. So we don't need to worry about this. This would hit my own guy for 1 damage, but since he's on fire, he will die at the end of the at the start of their turn, when this attack order will be done. Enemies emerge, always lasting on their turn. So our last unit here is the mech, our artillery mech. So we have a Artemis cannon or artillery here. We can shoot it at infinite range, but we cannot shoot it on the adjacent tile, as you can see the highlighted area there. So we'll just keep the mech usually, or the artillery in the back here. You can just dance back and forth and deal with like anything down here and be safe. It's also kind of glass cannon, so it's a kind of weak unit early on. Although upgraded, they can be really tough as well. And sometimes body blocking damage is important, especially some teams kind of specialize on that. For example, the Flame Squad, they have very little like direct damage. This team is all about direct damage, like punching, shooting, and pushing these guys. Of course, you can mix it up with the gear you buy. But the Flame team actually doesn't have any direct damage abilities, except few conditional ones, like their Walker mech does 2 damage if the target is already burning, but you need to get him burning first, of course. And they have like movement and teleportation and all kinds of the manipulation abilities, and lots of fire. So basically dots or damage over time abilities. So it's really interesting how it changes gameplay when you change your mechs around. And there, what I've tried so far, these teams, the flame ones were fairly difficult, and they also it felt like when I played them that you really have to tank some damage with your mechs. Like I did my first run with this basic team, of course, and I felt that I was trying to avoid damage to the buildings and damage to my own units as much as possible. But then I played the Flame squad after that, and it really forced me to just take the hit to the face, which is not too bad, as long as you keep repairing and don't too crazy with that. Your mechs get fully healed after each combat, so it's not for free also. So there's no like harm if your mech is like half health after the battle. It's just good tactics every now and then. But let's use this artillery mech here. So we'll go here and we're gonna use this Artemis here, and you can see same range. You're gonna see also the arrows. So that's the push from this one, and it does 1 damage on the tile here. So I could shoot him for 1 damage here in the middle, but it wouldn't push him. But instead I'm shooting the empty tile here and pushing this guy into the water, as water kills land units, except leaders, who are basically massive units, same as your own mechs, so they don't die in the water, but they cannot attack in there. There's also flying units, which don't care about water or anything pretty much under them, basically. Here we go, and he goes into the drink, we gain some experience, and that's done. So that's basically my 1 turn, and now we have completed our turn. So it's time to see what the enemy does, and he burns to crisp there. And then as the last thing, we get a couple more enemies, and this is their next turn, like their next intentions, and both of them are threatening our tank here. So let's see. The Leaper acted first, so we could here do. Normally I would kill both of them, of course, but for a demonstration purpose, I'll just have. Actually I can't do it because he's gonna die from the punch. But basically, if he didn't die from this punch, I could push him here. Actually, we can do that differently. Let me undo this move. So you can always undo your movement here, but once you commit to attacking, and you need to move first and then attack. You can't do attack and move. But you can always undo your move. So you can kind of check if I put this guy here and then I punch this, you can see what happens. So he gets 2 damage and gets pushed. So you can kind of strategize that way. So don't be afraid to move your unit and think what's going to happen. But actually we can use our artillery here and do the push. So we'll actually push our mech, light the forest on fire as it shows there, and we'll push this Leaper unit in there. You can also see if I bombarded here, he would die, and it would push my tank into the dome there and take damage. But we'll do this. So the mech gets a bit pushed. He gets into here. He blocks the tile here, as you can see the hand there. So no thank you for more Vex. We'll actually park you in there and block another one of these from spawning. So now that we see the fire damage is 0 because we have no fire. There's a bit of bit of fire going in there. I could shoot him and I could kill him at both if I really wanted to. And then there's enemy actions 1 and 2, so he's gonna hit this guy, and then that second attack will not happen. And we'll see what happens. And he should also die from the emerging enemy. Yes, it's fine. We'll confirm this action. So he decides to bite his friend. Wow. And then he gets killed by the enemy block. We also took the 1 damage in here. So this is how what I meant about the like positional importance of like moving your units and moving enemies and everything. How tight these control like the actions are, what you do between the mechanics. It's so nicely well done, and it really sucks you in. And I mean, this one is a very easy mission, of course. It's on normal difficulty, so it's not that easy. But this first mission is it's not too bad on this Green Island as well. But in the later game, these are tough sometimes to just crack the nut. Like, what do I need to do? How do I need to do? Shoot this there. Try this. No, that's not good. You also have a one reset by default. There is one hero at least who gives you additional reset per combat. So you can do 1 reset turn. So if you do a thing here and you're like if I went, let's demonstrate that. So if I went, for example, here and I punched this guy into the dome here, I'm like, maybe I should have not done that. Especially if it took damage. I could just press the reset here, and you can only do it once per battle, and it just goes back to the start of that turn. You can't go back turns more than that, so you need to do it when you identify that I could have done that better. You need to use the immediately. But actually that is not too bad move anyways, so we'll just punch you into the dome there. It's fine. And we'll move our artillery a bit closer, and we'll move you to hang out on one of the spawns. Since there's only 2 more turns, we can just end here next turn. And the next turn will actually be the last one, basically. So, as long as we don't die to these 3 aliens, we're good. We're golden. So you don't need to kill all these. Just to make sure our objectives are fine, and we don't lose any mechs, and we don't lose any buildings. So here we see that this guy is basically our only threat. He's shooting this guy, and he's shooting this guy. So if I move my mech through here, you don't have to worry about the fire. It's only when you end in the tile with the fire you get burned. And we'll just punch this guy, and then we'll put you, Stefan, in there, and we'll bonk you into each other, and we get a bit of damage. And I guess we gotta, I mean, it's experience, so just bombard the last one as well, and that's done. Easy peasy. Yeah, we got mission complete. So we got 1 power into our power grid. We got some experience. We saved some civilians, which is basically just a score in this game. So you can go for score. There's a kind of like speedrunning achievements as well. You can even enable from the options here game timer UI if you want to rush through missions. There's a couple of achievements that are time-based like that. And so we completed our first island perfectly. And then now we unlocked the next areas we could do in this area. And once you've done 4 of these, you get the final mission of this island, and then you get the next island, and then so on, as I explained in the beginning. So this is basically how Into the Breach works, and it's really well done. It's like super polished, super tight mechanics that work really well together, and it's really fun to play. So I definitely get my high recommendation. The music is amazing also, like in FTL. It's just top notch. It's super fun to listen to, and I'll probably listen to a lot of it outside of the game as well. So definitely big praise and high recommendation from me. There's one thing that I'm a bit worried about, and it's the maps actually. So each island has a specific like this one. This different launch, different satellite launches, and different this kind of thing. There's this. Destroy the dam. So basically these same missions repeat quite quickly as you play through, but the maps are a bit different each time. So it's not like it's the same exact map each time, but it's basically the same, very same themed map each time, and you have quite a lot of variety in the like the mechs. Like you have the 8 teams, and then you can mix and match them and randomize them, which gives a lot of like replayability through there. But the amount of maps is not huge, and I don't know, like in long term, will those maps get kind of stale after you've played through them enough times? Which I don't know what is the enough times yet. They will definitely have be nice for quite a while, but I feel they might eventually start feeling kind of stale, doing the same thing again and again and again on the same maps. So hopefully maybe there's gonna be more maps eventually, just add to the map pool, like different types of missions that you can encounter here or something like that. But I have dug into the game's files a bit, because I'm like to tinker with my games, do some modding and figure out if I can alter a number here, a number there, and see what happens. So this game actually, from what I've been looking at in the files, is very moddable. So I expect there to be a lot of modding around the game. Same thing as in FTL and a bunch of lot of awesome indie games. They usually have people modding them because people love them, and then they like to make it their own and add more content to the game. So it looks like this game is very moddable, which is big thumbs up. Most of the, if you know anything about like coding or anything, most of the stuff is in Lua files. Pilots, weapons, mechs, enemies, enemy weapons, maps, and everything is basically just Lua files, except the graphics and all of that, music and that stuff. But basically everything is very easy to balance, alter, add, and tinker with. So there is a lot of things you can do with the game very easily. It's basically plain text files. So anyone who can read a bit of a text file and alter numbers here and there can do their own little bit of modding for the game. And that's just the very basics. And from there on you can do whatever you want, basically. So I see a bright future in the modding for the game as well. But basically that's my review of Into the Breach. Highly recommended. Damn awesome. Very polished. I haven't seen any issues with it. It's very tight in mechanics. It's very well put together. And it has a pretty bright future with the modding scene. And also there is quite a lot to dig into, with just all the combinations of mechs, weapons, team compositions, pilots, and all that. Customization is damn amazing. But anyways, thank you for watching this review of the Into the Breach by Subset Games. And if you like this review, check out other reviews, let's plays, and all the other content on the YouTube channel, and check out the live stream on Nerd.tv or Twitch.tv/Belaner, where I stream games like this, other strategy, management, building games, and a bit of everything every day, live on Twitch. So, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. So, bye-bye.